Would you buy this house? Hey guys, Jesse right here with YouCouldBe.com. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to think like a successful investor. So if you look at this house, I think you would agree that most people would quickly pass over it. They wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. And in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of take a closer look, and we're going to see why successful real estate investors would buy a property like this, and also why that makes them so successful. So let's just take a little bit closer look at this house real quick. I'm not going to show you all of the pictures yet, but I'll just kind of quickly scroll through them so you can see, you know, a little bit more about it, and then we're going to do the comparison. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to pop open Google Streets, because that is usually the first thing that I do before I ever decide if I'm ever even going to go look at a house in person. So I've got Google Streets pulled open right here, and there's a couple things I want you to notice. First of all, just do a quick 360. Right across the street from this house, we've got a school. Now that's actually mentioned in the ad as well. It's I believe an elementary school. And this street is somewhat of a main road. So between the fact that there's a school right there and the fact that it is somewhat of a main road, that means we're going to have a lot of traffic going down this street, which means if you stick a sign in that front yard, it's going to be a lot easier to rent out than if it was in the middle of a subdivision, you know, somewhere in a little bit more of a rural area. So this really does work, because trust me, I'm in the process of I had a tenant that just moved out today. I mentioned her, I believe, in my previous video, and today alone I've gotten 36 calls from my sign in a yard that's on a street very similar to this. So, you know, that's a huge plus. All right, so that's number one. Number two, let's just take a look at this. If you look at this picture, you can see that there are a bunch of shingles missing on Google Streets, right? But if you look a little closer, you can see that this street view picture was taken in November of 2012. Now when we go back and we look at this house, you can see that this roof is much newer. I highly doubt that this picture was taken, you know, 6 years ago. I think this picture was probably taken within the past year, and that's why the roof looks so new, because it probably is new. That's a huge plus. That means you're not going to have to replace that roof for at least 10, 15, 20 years possibly. So that's, you know, one thing right there. Normally, I would spend more time driving, you know, in Google Streets around this area. I already did that. The only thing I'm really going to do in this video is just show you kind of what the side of the house and the back of the house looks like. We have a fence all the way around this property. That's good. That's great for, you know, preventing crime, and it's also just a plus. People like to see that when they're renting out a house. So the fact that you got a fence and a fairly decent backyard is a major plus as well. So that's all I'm going to show you in Google Streets. But now we're going to move on to Rentometer. We're going to check the comparables. So I've already pulled this report up, and as you can see, for a 3-bedroom in this area, the average rent is $960 a month. The median rent is $935 a month, but there's quite a few that are higher than that. I've seen a couple for $1,200, a couple lower. You know, this is $1,050, $1,200, $950, $950, $850, so on and so forth. What I do when I pull up these Rentometer reports is I actually go in and I look at other houses that are in this report to see, you know, how will my house compare to this house. If, you know, this house for $1,200 is a 3-story house that's brick and it's got an immaculate lawn and it's got granite countertops, well then I can't really count that in my in figuring out what I can charge in rent for my house. So I've just pulled up one of these houses just to give you an idea. It's this 2434 Rio Grande, and first thing we're going to do again is we're going to look at it in Google Streets. All right, it's nothing. There's nothing special about it. It's a small house. It's smaller than the one we're looking at. You can see it's kind of in an industrial area right back here. This is the backside of some sort of industrial building or shop or something. And it's just next to a bunch of other similar looking smallish houses. So I've also pulled it up on Trulia, and yeah, there we go. You can see kind of the same thing. It's got a nice paint job. It's got some nice floors. The trim is painted up nice. The walls are painted up nice. But it's just a really basic house. There's not any granite countertops here. There's a stove right here next to the fridge, which is kind of an odd place to have a stove. Smallish dining room area probably. And the house is 1,184 square feet compared to the 1,400 and some odd square feet on the house that we're looking for. So what I want you to think about here is, one, your initial reaction when you did see this house. If you thought that this house was a train wreck, then I want you to think about, what would it take to make this house look like this house? What would really go into that? How much would it cost? And how much work would go into it in order to get, one more time, this house to look like this house? So let's just kind of go through this a little bit, okay? We'll start with the outside. In order to make this house look like this house, you really need a couple things, and that's it. One, you need to get the lawn cleaned up. You need to get all this junk out of here. I would actually remove this basketball goal completely, and I would give it a new coat of paint, and I would go ahead and do a little bit of work on this window trim. If any of it was rotted out, I would put new screens up. If there weren't, it looks like most of these screens are messed up, and there's probably going to be a little bit of glass repair. You're going to have to reglaze some of these windows, and you can use plexiglass or you can use real glass, but you're not going to replace the whole window. You're just going to replace the glass. It's very inexpensive. And then we're going to fix the yard. That's going to be the bulk of your exterior repairs. So the next thing that we're going to look at is the inside. Now, imagine what this house would look like if, first of all, you removed all of this extra stuff. This couch, this cooler, all the junk on the floor, this strange lady with the white dot over her head. And we replaced it. We put in new floors. We painted the fireplace. We painted the walls, we painted the baseboards, and we just cleaned it up a little bit. That doesn't cost a lot of money, and it doesn't take a lot of work, and it would completely transform this house. Same thing with the kitchen. What happens if you remove all of this? Okay, you paint the walls, you put down some baseboards, you redo the floor, and you fix up this countertop area, and you put some new appliances in there. Again, not a lot of work, not a lot of money, and it would completely transform the way this house looks. Bathroom, you can't really tell too much about it, but I'm just going to say what would happen if you cleaned it up, you made sure the floor looked nice, and the tile in the shower looked nice, which it probably does. This room is no different. Get all of the junk out of there. Fix these few places on the walls where there seems to be some sort of an issue. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to take some joint compound, you're going to put it over top of those areas, you're going to sand it down, and then you're going to paint. You're going to clean out all of this junk. You might want to keep the guitar if it's still in decent condition. And that is really all there is to it. Seems like I'm missing a room. This room, same thing. Paint, remove the junk, and we'll talk about the floors in a minute. All in all, what I'm getting at is it would not take a lot of work, and when you think about the fact that you're going to be renting it out for $1,000 a month, it looks like it's probably going to be a really good investment. So let's just go ahead and see what goes into, totaling up how much this rehab is going to cost. There's certain things that I just couldn't know without seeing the house. And so I've added in a little bit of extra for those things, but keep that in mind that those things probably don't exist, at least not all of the things that I've allotted in this list that I've got over here. But let's start out with the exterior. Again, really quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but in order to paint the entire exterior of the home, you get 400 square feet for 1 gallon of paint. So 1 coat, 400 square feet, a gallon of paint. We're going to put on 2 coats. And just doing some basic math, I figured out that we're going to need about 8 gallons to completely repaint the exterior. We're going to buy 2 5-gallon buckets, so we'll have a little bit extra. And those buckets are going to come from Walmart. They're Color Place exterior paint. They cost about $98 per 5-gallon bucket. We're also going to get 2 1-gallon buckets of paint that's going to cover the trim, and that is going to cost us another $25. Then we got brushes, rollers, things like that. That's going to be about $40, and that's going to total up your paint. $261 plus tax is going to cover all of your painting expenses on the exterior of the home. And then fixing up any of the exterior trim around the windows, and then reglazing the windows and adding screens. Plus, for some reason I added this in here, getting any kind of utilities cut on with temporary service, electricity, gas, water, all of that. It's going to total up to $900. So we got $261 for the exterior paint, $900 for utilities and extra exterior stuff. And then for the interior paint is going to be a little cheaper. It's $68 for a 5-gallon bucket. So to paint the walls, we're looking at $136 plus trim, another $25. Brushes and rollers, another $40. I allotted $50 for putting blinds up. Now these blinds, they're like $3.99 for a pair of blinds. It's the cheapest blinds that you can buy from Walmart, and it's all you need. You don't need to be buying these expensive wooden blinds. So we've got blinds for $50, baseboards. You'll notice that a lot of these areas already have baseboards. When I came up with this $500 figure for baseboards, I was thinking about putting baseboards in the entire house. So you're probably not going to spend near about $500, but I went ahead and kept it as $500 here. And then your floors. Let's go ahead and talk about your floors for a second. You've got 2 options, okay? Both of them are cheap. One of them is going to last a lot longer, but it's not going to look quite as nice. And the other one is going to look a lot nicer, but it's only going to last 3 to 5 years. So your not quite as nice looking option is this Sonoma beige ceramic tile. It's 69 cents a square foot. When you buy it in bulk, you save a little bit, probably knocks it down to about 62 cents a square foot. I'm just guessing here. And then you're going to have VersaBond that goes underneath that. You're going to have spacers that you use to go in between the tiles while you're laying them down. And then you're going to have your grout. I bought this tile. I typically use it in bathrooms, but you can use it throughout the whole house. And if they have a dog or something like that, they're not going to be able to scratch up the floors. Water's not going to mess it up. So it's going to last you a really long time. You should get 20, 30, 40 years out of this floor, and just get away with replacing a few tiles here and there, which is not going to be a problem because you're going to buy plenty of extra when you go, make your first purchase. So that's option number 1. Between grout, VersaBond, spacers, a few tools, and this tile, you should not have more than $1 per square foot in this floor. So I've just allotted $1,500 for the floors. Now your second option is the much nicer looking option. I have this in a lot of my houses, but again, these floors are only going to last you 3 to 5 years. You can see they look great, but they are 68 cents a square foot. You're also going to have a 25-cent pad that you put down underneath these planks right here, and just a few extra little tools and odds and ends. You should still be under $1 a square foot when you're putting this floor down as well. So the floor price, I can keep that at $1,500. It's up to you to choose what type of floor you're going to put down. I tend to use these floors because I'm in Mississippi, and we have a lot of foundation issues, and it's a lot easier to lay down a board that flexes a little bit when you have some sort of a crack in a slab than it is to do that with tile. And if the house settles even a little bit more, then those ceramic tiles are going to crack. And I just didn't want to fool with that, so that's why I use this in a lot of my houses. All right, so moving on then, plumbing. You're always going to have some sort of plumbing issues. Usually it just, amounts to replacing a couple of traps, getting under the sink, doing some small stuff. It really should only cost you $50 to $100 to get all of that stuff fixed, but I allotted $300 just to be safe. Electrical problems, same thing. You really aren't going to... Electrical problems aren't very expensive if you're doing the work yourself. What costs a lot of money is hiring an electrician to come in and do that work for you. And if you're going to be rehabbing houses, you need to go ahead and learn how to fix most of these problems on your own. They're not hard. It's not rocket science. Get a book, watch some YouTube videos, figure it out, and you'll be okay. Just be sure to flip the breaker before you do anything. $300 is what I allotted for electrical problems, and then we've got our appliances, which is going to amount to a fridge and a stove. Now you can get this stuff used on Craigslist. $200 for a fridge is pretty typical. $200 to $300 if you buy the right fridge, and same goes for a stove. $200 to $300. So you should be in it no more than $500 or $600. I allotted $12 just to be safe. So the total for the interior should be around $4,050. And then the total for the exterior is going to be $1,161. That's a total rehab of $5,212. So let's just do a little bit more math right here real quick. Between taxes, that you're not going to be paying, for instance, the taxes on this house are, I think, $500 a year. So it's halfway through the year. That means, because of how they prorate things, you're going to get a $250 credit on your purchase price. Then you're going to have your title insurance and your things like that, and so on and so forth, that are going to get added on. But you're also going to negotiate things down. So I say all that to say that I'm just going to, assume that all in with, everything said and done, we're going to pay $18,500 for this house. So $18,500 plus that $5,212 equals $23,712, right? All right, so that's what our rehab and our purchase price is looking like so far. Now let's do it a little bit differently. Let's look at what we're going to get in rent. We're going to get $1,000 a month. So we've got $12,000 a year that we're bringing in rent, but we're going to take out our taxes, which is $500 a year, and we're also going to take out $2,000 just for, the possibility of vacancies, expenses that we are going to incur as we maintain the house. So that's going to leave us with $9,500 a year in profit on this house. If we multiply that by 2.5, then that's going to give us our budget for this house, which is $23,750. If we want to get a 40% return on this property, then we need to make sure that we don't spend more than $23,750 on the house. So if you find yourself getting close to that mark, well, then you're going to be buying your appliances from Craigslist. You're going to be trying to save money on your flooring. You're going to be, easy on the baseboard, so on and so forth. But all in all, even with the very over-the-top pricing that I came up with, we're right there in line. It's basically the same thing. Now, guys, I promise you I didn't just total these numbers up beforehand and say, oh, let me figure out how to make this look good. That's just how it worked out. But I guess what I'm really trying to get at, and I'm going to cut the video off after this, is that, when you look at properties like this, you need to look through the eyes of an investor. Try to look through the eyes of a successful person, because you are going to be successful. You just need to learn to look at the world in such a way that you look at everything and everything appears an opportunity. Now, I'm not saying be stupid. I'm not saying go out and buy 50,000 tons of salt and try to turn that into $1 billion. But I'm just saying you do have to be able to see things for what they really are, see them as a blank canvas, and not like the rest of the world sees them, because the rest of the world, most of the world, is not going to be wealthy. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe, share it in your favorite groups on Facebook, and I will see you guys in the next video.